have several specimens here that are yellow specimens, and I thought we might look at those and see if we could figure out what we would do with the shadows for these yellow specimens. So this first one that I have in camera is a banana, and you'll notice that not only do we have this local color, which is kind of lemon yellow, maybe with a little mix of cadmium yellow medium in it. But then you also have gradations of green in here. You have some browny colors in here. You have this very neutral tannish color in the stem. And then you have some really dark areas at the opposite end of this banana. So what do we do with the color? Because you have these green variations integral to the surface of the banana, perhaps a green shadow that defines the form is not necessarily the way to go. So if you look at your chart that you may or may not have created, I'm going to say that perhaps the Winsor Violet is your best bet as far as your shadows are concerned. And yet, you might want to consider the possibility of ultramarine blue, perhaps in this area here. But I think you're probably best off just staying with the Winsor Violet for the entire shadow definition that you're going to need for this particular subject. Okay, let's take a look at this pepper. This pepper has a great deal more orange in it, and yet it's still considered a yellow specimen. So where do we want to go with this? You could go with the Winsor Violet again. You might even try burnt sienna as a possibility, and you're definitely going to need to put in a little bit of the Scarlet Lake in order to bring this yellow up to a much more rich looking yellow that leans toward the orange. You may also really need to use the burnt sienna in some areas where you see darker oranges, and then maybe in the shadow areas go back to Winsor Violet. I keep returning to Winsor Violet because it is the complement of yellow and seems to, in most cases, work the best in terms of shadows for these yellow specimens. So here is a very warm yellow as opposed to the banana, which we looked at before, which is a much cooler, greener yellow than the pepper. Here we have a lovely yellow apple. Again, not unlike the banana, it leans towards the cooler yellow, so you probably want to think in terms of the local color being something in relation to the lemon yellow. But you also have some oranges in here. Yeah, and the shadows, I would say these shadows are definitely, especially in this area, are definitely within the Winsor Violet range. It seems to work the best with these cool yellows. However, you might want to add a touch of green in this area if this is what you want, we're going to paint, and then you're going to have to make a decision about how you're going to handle the shadows in this area here. There is some green here. You also have this very nice browny orangey stem, and there's a little bit of a cast of orange on this top edge, and then shadow superimposed on top of that. So you're going to have to see what you can do as far as matching these colors. Last but not least, we have another warm yellow tomato. Again, this is very similar to the pepper in terms of its colors. Again, you may want to use Winsor Violet, but you could also use neutral tint. And actually, you could use neutral tint for almost everything. I just happen to find that the complement to the yellow is a bit more visually exciting than the neutral tint. But if you feel more comfortable starting with neutral tint, that's the way that you should go. So let's see if we can match some of these colors up with pigments.